A doubt at the last moment that the young girl they were burying was actually dead led to the postponement of a burial service in Torrington. It was the most unusual and thrilling graveside episode that has ever happened in this state, and caused great excitement. Miss Mara Eichner, the daughter of William Eichner of Newfield, 2 miles from Torrington, committed suicide Saturday morning by taking a dose of rough-on-rats. The cause of the suicide is said to have been a cruel rumor. Her father received a letter from a man who charged Miss Eichner with improper conduct. She indignantly denied the report, but the story so preyed on her mind that she determined to end her life. The funeral was held at Miss Eichner's home in Newfield Sunday afternoon. The Reverend Mr. Roberts, her pastor, conducted the services, and there was singing by friends in Newfield. The bearers were 4 young men, admirers of the deceased. Following the services at the house, the remains were brought down to the Center Cemetery in Torrington for interment. There was a very large crowd gathered at the cemetery. The members of the Sunday school class to which the deceased belonged, and other young lady friends, brought a mass of flowers, and the grave was literally lined with them. Reverend Mr. Roberts read a brief part of the final service, and the casket was lowered into the grave. Then happened a most thrilling scene. When the casket had been opened for a final view of the remains, just before lowering into the grave, several friends noticed that Miss Eichner's countenance was flushed and lifelike. There was a good deal of color in the face, and the hands felt warm. The more they thought about it, the more the young lady's friends became convinced that if she were buried, then she would be buried alive. As the sexton was about to throw the first spadeful of dirt on the coffin, one of her friends spoke up. "I protest, don't you fill the grave yet. The young woman isn't dead." Probably 1,000 people were at the graveside and about the cemetery at the time, and all were in a quiver of intense excitement. The news quickly spread all over town, and a great crowd collected. The opinion that Miss Eichner was still alive became general, and excited persons exchanged their views in whispers and half-tones. "I pinched her ear," said one, and the color came and went. "Her hands were warm and moist," said another, "and her cheeks, did you notice, they were pink, as they always used to be," said another. The upshot was that Dr. Hanchett, the medical examiner, was hastily summoned. The crowd watched him with bated breath descend into the grave and examine the body. He pronounced the girl dead, but her friends were still not satisfied, and Dr. Platt was called. He too pronounced life extinct. There were many who were not ready to concede this, however, and the casket was drawn from the grave. Meanwhile, Herman Fritz, a cousin of Miss Eichner, without the knowledge of the other relatives, had obtained permission from the selectmen to remove the body, and it was taken at 6 o'clock to the lockup. The black people of town were holding a religious meeting in the town hall, but after they adjourned, the body of Miss Eichner was removed to the hall. The windows were shaded, the great excitement drawing a large crowd to the place. Dr. Hanchett called a council of Doctors Platt, Pratt, Pulver, and Hill. Tests were applied and a thorough examination made. A few minutes sufficed to show that the girl was dead. The reason the physicians gave for the lifelike appearance of the corpse was that the corrosive sublimate in the rough-on-rats tended to prevent coagulation of the blood after death, which gave a rosy, lifelike glow to the face. The warmth of the body they ascribed to the ride of 2 miles in the hearse, whose glass sides concentrated the rays of the sun. The body was left in the town hall overnight, and friends waited all night by the side of the corpse, hoping in vain for some sign of life. At 8 o'clock yesterday morning, they reluctantly relinquished their watch. The immediate relatives of the deceased made up a procession, and the body was interred without further ceremony, the family being at last fully satisfied of death.